Part 1. The modern mind wasn't built for this. You sit down with good intentions, a clear task, and maybe even a bit of motivation, but within minutes your focus splinters into fragments and your mind wanders toward things that feel easier, louder, or more urgent. You check your phone for a second, scroll through a feed, glance at the news, and before you even realize it, the window of attention is gone and the task you cared about now feels impossibly far away. This isn't because you're lazy or undisciplined, it's because the modern world is designed to divide your attention and sell it back to you in pieces. Notifications, content, ads, headlines, they all compete for your awareness like shouting vendors in a crowded marketplace, and your brain, which evolved to track movement and novelty, follows wherever the noise leads. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to protect the most valuable currency you have, your focus. Because without it, your goals become harder to touch, your days blur together, and your inner compass gets drowned out by digital noise. You didn't lose your ability to concentrate, you just forgot what stillness feels like. And to reclaim it, you'll need to understand what broke it in the first place. That's where we start. Part 2. Why focus feels so fragile. Focus isn't a switch you flip, it's a fragile state built by intention, energy, and context, and every distraction chips away at that delicate structure until all that remains is scattered attention and rising frustration. You sit there blaming yourself for not getting things done, but your brain is doing exactly what it was trained to do: seek stimulation, avoid discomfort, and respond to the loudest signal in the room. And today, that signal is always on, always glowing, always one tap away. The truth is, focus requires protection, and we rarely treat it that way. We leave ourselves open to interruptions, try to multitask as if it's a badge of honor, and expect our minds to stay centered in a world built to fracture them. Focus isn't just about cutting out distractions, it's about designing an environment and a routine that supports your goals rather than sabotaging them. When everything around you is engineered to steal your attention, choosing to protect it becomes an act of rebellion. And if you want to do deep work, build meaningful things, or simply feel like your mind is yours again, you'll need to learn how to rebuild that internal sanctuary where focus can live. But first, you need to recognize what's draining it daily. Part 3. The hidden cost of task switching. Every time you switch from one task to another, your brain burns valuable energy refocusing, resetting, and regaining context, and those micro moments of reorientation stack up silently into hours of lost clarity. You might think multitasking makes you efficient, but it actually fragments your thinking and leaves you exhausted before the day's even halfway through. Scientists call it attention residue, the leftover mental noise from one task bleeding into the next, and it's why you can't stop thinking about that email while trying to finish your report. We live in a culture that glorifies constant motion, but deep work requires stillness, presence, and rhythm. If your brain is bouncing between tabs, texts, and to-dos, it never drops deep enough to produce anything truly valuable. Focus isn't just about time management, it's about mental bandwidth. And if you spend it flipping between unfinished thoughts, you'll never get to the heart of your work. You need boundaries. You need blocks of time that protect your mind like a fortress. That's how high performers do it, not with willpower, but with systems. Because when you master your environment, you free up your mind. And the next step is learning how to create those focus rituals that turn chaos into progress. Part 4. Focus rituals that actually work. You can't rely on motivation to get focused, but you can train your mind with rituals that signal it's time to lock in, and these rituals don't need to be complicated, just consistent and deliberate enough to anchor your attention in place. Start with a trigger. It could be sitting in the same chair, lighting a candle, or playing a certain song before you begin, and over time, your brain learns, this is when we work deeply. Then set the rules: no phone, one browser tab, one task, one timer, simple boundaries that reduce cognitive load. Use time blocks, like the Pomodoro technique, to give your brain rest intervals, because sustained attention is a muscle, not a switch, and it gets tired fast without structured breaks. Keep a notepad beside you for intrusive thoughts, write them down and return later, so they stop stealing your focus now. And don't underestimate the power of transition. Give yourself a few minutes before and after each work block to warm up or decompress, so your mind doesn't rebel. These rituals rewire your brain for presence. They create a rhythm of intention. And once you have a rhythm, you can build momentum. But even the best rituals fall apart if you're fighting a war inside your own mind. Part 5. The war inside your head. Focus isn't just about controlling your environment, it's about confronting the noise that lives inside you, the endless stream of thoughts that hijack your attention and convince you that you're behind, unworthy, or not doing enough. These mental intrusions don't show up as full-blown panic, they arrive disguised as reminders, regrets, comparisons, and fears, each one small but together forming a flood. Your brain starts chasing every idea instead of finishing one, spiraling between tabs and tasks, hoping to escape discomfort instead of solving it. And the more you chase clarity through distraction, the more fragmented you become, like trying to hold water with open hands. You start questioning your worth based on how much you've achieved today, and that pressure alone is enough to paralyze your ability to think clearly. This internal war isn't always loud, but it's constant, and it bleeds into everything: your focus, your confidence, your peace. So the first step is not fixing your to-do list, it's noticing the emotional undertow beneath it, the guilt, the pressure, the perfectionism that feeds your need to escape. Because if you keep trying to focus while your nervous system is in survival mode, no system or strategy will ever be enough. And that's where real focus must begin. Part 6, The Power of Boring Rituals. The reason most people can't stay focused isn't because they're lazy, it's because they expect motivation to strike like lightning before they begin, not realizing that motivation often follows action, not the other way around. That's why rituals matter: tiny, boring, predictable rituals that anchor your brain into a task before it has time to flee. Lighting a candle. Starting a timer. Opening the same document. These are not magical acts, but signals that whisper to your mind, it's time to work now, creating a rhythm the body trusts even when the mind resists. Rituals strip away uncertainty and replace it with flow, building neural pathways that make effort automatic over time. Focus doesn't thrive in chaos, it thrives in pattern, in simplicity, in knowing what comes next. The most productive people in the world don't rely on constant inspiration, they rely on systems so familiar they're almost invisible. That's what real discipline is, not pushing harder, but making resistance irrelevant. And while it may seem dull to repeat the same startup routine daily, it's that very dullness that becomes your superpower. Because once the ritual is automatic, the work begins before doubt has a chance to speak. And that's how focus stops being a fight, and starts becoming your default. Part 7, Why Your Focus Leaks, and How to Plug It. Focus doesn't disappear in a single crash, it leaks slowly through dozens of tiny holes you never notice until it's gone. Every open browser tab, every lingering notification, every half-finished task acts like a silent siphon draining your mental energy without permission. You think you're multitasking, but your brain is actually task-switching, and each switch comes with a cognitive price: lost momentum, fractured attention, and rising fatigue that feels like burnout but is really just constant redirection. The solution isn't more force, it's better boundaries. Create zones of deep work, where distractions are blocked before they begin, where your phone is in another room, your tabs are closed, and your mind has nowhere else to run. Focus loves structure, so give it one: block your time, batch your tasks, and build in deliberate recovery so your mind can recharge without guilt. Even 5 minutes of genuine focus beats an hour of fragmented scrolling. Plug those leaks not with willpower, but with design. Because if your environment keeps hijacking your brain, you don't need to try harder, you need to change the system. Focus isn't a character trait. It's a condition. And you can build it. But first, you have to protect it. So ask yourself, what's stealing yours? Part 8, A focused life isn't just productive, it's peaceful. Most people chase focus because they want to be productive, to get things done, to win the day, but the real gift of focus isn't output, it's presence. When your mind is quiet, your tasks become meditations, your conversations deepen, and even the ordinary moments feel richer, fuller, and strangely more alive. Focus shrinks time in the best way. It makes 10 minutes feel like an hour because you were actually there for it, not lost in tabs or notifications or thoughts that belong to someone else. This isn't just about doing more work, it's about reclaiming your attention from a world that's trying to sell it back to you in pieces. Because once you taste deep focus, when your thoughts align, your mind clears, and you feel in flow, you realize it's not just a productivity hack, it's a form of freedom. You don't feel behind. You don't feel scattered. You feel anchored, present, and capable. So don't chase more hours. Chase clarity. Chase depth. Build a life where you can focus fully, not just for tasks, but for people, for meaning, and for joy. Because when you focus on what matters, life stops feeling like a blur. And that's the moment everything begins to change. If any part of this message struck a nerve, don't just let it fade into the noise. Choose one small thing right now that you'll protect from distraction, even if it's just 5 minutes of focus time. Your attention is your life. How you spend it shapes who you become. So if you're ready to stop drifting and start directing your focus, subscribe for more reflections like this, share this with someone who's struggling to stay present, and leave a comment. What's the first thing you'll do with full attention today?